drive today, which is retarded. But hopefully, I'm hoping that it'll get done quick and I won't be there home for days. But I don't care because they're paying for the test. It's just like fun. I should say fun, but we'll see what happens.
Where are you going?
To Miramar.
Oh, yay.
Everything to me down there is madness. So we'll see what happens. Not this time. I have to wait till I get the money to shop first. When I get the paycheck, that might happen. So that we'll see what happens. Okay.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, they still speak me on occasion.
Uh-oh.
All right, so we're going to finish up neuro. And then I'm telling you, the reason I was thinking, I was like, did I do all of this? Is during the break, I actually taught a live review course. And so I was like, did we do all of this? Because we did that in those 3 days. And then I had 2 days off where I did go to the Jazz Festival. That was nice. I almost froze to death, but it was nice. And I was cold, so you know it's bad. So everybody out there was a popsicle other than me. But, and it was in Orlando. It was warm there in the neighborhood at night. It was freezing. So anyway, it was a good day. I was a little upset at the end because Mona James only got to play 3 songs. I was like, seriously? But you got to see 23 people over the 2 days. I was like, shut up. So I can't beat that. All right, so we went over stroke TI. You know, stroke is a big one, so you're going to see questions on that. Then we had to finish up the neurologic piece. So the exam itself is going to be endocrine and neuro. You have your quiz set up tomorrow because you won't be here tomorrow. You have a day off to get yourself together, all that kind of stuff, coming back to work and all that. So your quiz is set up on your, starting at 4 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. So I did that so some people who go up, get up early can do theirs, and then 4 in the afternoon, because then I have a chance to check on them when I finish doing whatever I have to do.
I'll be at work.
All right, so we had we're going to talk about Parkinson's seizures, and kind of if you what might be nice for you to do or thinking about doing is actually putting these, and I think there is one of the handouts I gave you that kind of has these together. But if you draw lines on a page and put all 4 of them on there, because they're similar in that they the presentation and that kind of thing that you see in the patient are a little bit similar as far as what happens. It's the patho that's different. Okay, so they're all chronic. I shouldn't say all of them are, because ADS, Guillain-Barré is not considered a chronic disease, but it can have chronic residual problems for the patient. But they're all neurologic conditions, just a little bit different as far as the pathology that's behind them. And then we have Alzheimer's and dementia. They have gout in this section, which makes no sense to me, so that's going to go on musculoskeletal, because that has to do more with that. Okay. So first we're going to talk about Parkinson's disease, which is a chronic disorder where you have a problem with receptors of the L-DOPA in the brain. And I gave you a handout about this because mainly when you see Parkinson's patients, they are elderly, but you do have early presentation in some patients. Probably the person that you see or you think about most often with the early presentation is Michael J. Fox because he has severe Parkinson's disease. He is on medication, but when he doesn't take his meds, you can actually see a lot of the twisting and stuff that actually ends up happening to him. He actually, his is so pronounced, he almost looks like a Tourette's patient instead of a Parkinson's patient because he has so much movement. But what ends up happening is over time, you're going to have these receptors and they don't respond to L-DOPA, or the patient doesn't produce that, so they actually have to have an exogenous source of levodopa. So those are the medications that the patient's going to take. What generally happens when you have a Parkinson's patient is they tend to move slow, so bradykinesia is something that you see with them. They have cog and wheel movement, so everything is more like regimented when they move. And then early on, you won't see a whole lot of symptoms, but as it progresses, you start to see tremors. They're first intentional, meaning that if I move, I'm intending to pick up this water bottle, then I'm going to have tremors. That's how it starts out. So, but later they have tremors all the time. And so what you end up doing is having a person that is at risk for falling, because that's what you see a lot with patients who have Parkinson's disease. Even before they're diagnosed, a lot of times you'll see that they have a history of falls. The other thing is that, of course, because they move slowly, then it's one of those things, if you ever see a Parkinson's patient, they're slow to get up, but once they start moving, they can't stop themselves. So kind of like they keep going, kind of thing. So the major thing that's important about Parkinson's patients, because these patients are usually not hospitalized unless for something else. The major reason you see them is because they're elderly. It's a condition that you see that happens because of that. And one of the things, the big issue for them is safety and taking their medications on time. So whatever medication they take, whether it be Sinemet or the combination drug that they take for their, they take L-Dopa or Sinemet, because Sinemet is a combination. If you have a patient who takes those medications, they pretty much will tell you that I have to take them on time or I'm going to start with the symptoms again. So most of the time it's dosed before breakfast, before lunch, in the evening time, and then before they go to bed. So but it has a very regular time for that particular patient. Patients are very specific about when they take the drug. So if you have a patient that says, you know how hospitals, they come in the hospital and put everything at 9 o'clock, right? Patient tells you I need to take this medication at 8 o'clock. They know that if they wait till 9, the treatment is going to start. So don't get offended when they tell you about stuff like that. That's what's really important for them. The other thing about their medication is patient teaching, in that you don't put a really high protein food with that particular medication because it binds to it. So they shouldn't be eating a ribeye steak or something like that when they're taking their meds, mainly because that protein interferes with the use of the medication or the bioavailability of the med. So therefore, they can actually have symptoms return. So patient teaching with them is about safety, about taking their medication on time, and then not eating high protein when they're actually taking their meds. But these are not people you generally see in the hospital just for their Parkinson's. They usually are there because they have other things wrong. A lot of times because they fell and broke a hip because of the instability in gait, but those types of things that are going on with the patient. With seizures, understanding about seizure activity is something that covers a very wide range of things, because you can have febrile seizures in children. You can have seizures associated with ingestion of certain medications. But the vast majority of the time we think about it related to what you're doing for your testing purposes, think about epilepsy. Okay, so that's something where we see a uncontrolled release of impulses throughout the brain. It's like that. Can't be off for more than 2 days. All right. So what this, in most of the epilepsy that we see that happens, associated with for anybody that is either in the hospital or those types of things, would end up being from a patient who actually had some type of head injury. Can also be birth injury in children, because that's something that they can have. Can also be related to tumors. You got a person who never had anything before, develops a tumor in a certain part of the brain, and ends up having seizures. The end result is that you're looking at this uncontrolled release or excitation within the brain. And sometimes you can actually find it. It's specialized in certain areas where the patient is actually initiating the seizure. But the thing is that if it's witnessed, people can actually talk about what kind of things they see associated with it, and behaviors, movements, those types of things. The other thing about seizures is you have people that fake. A person who's faking a seizure cannot follow commands, because the other thing that happens when you're having a seizure is you have loss of consciousness, you have loss of continence, because that's some of the things you look at to see if a patient is actually having a seizure. Are they incontinent of urine or stool? Are they following commands? Those types of, because if you have a person that's following commands, they're not having a seizure. You can have crazy people even that tell you, yes, they're having them, but they can still follow commands. That's a psychogenic kind of thing going on. It's really not an actual seizure. And because this is something that's going on, you have all the neurons are firing, and it produces symptoms in your patient. Now you can have seizures that are from barely noticeable, that you sometimes see with absent seizures. That's the person that maybe sees it and you don't see it as because everybody's used to the tonic thing, right? or people fall down and they're, moving all over like a wet, chicken kind of thing. But this, if you have a person who has absent seizure, that's the person that may look off. You talking to them, you see that something's not there, but they're not talking to you, and then all of a sudden they come back. Those are people that are not producing that tonic-clonic movement that we're used to seeing associated with seizures. Then they have petit mal and grand mal seizures that we talk about in patients. And truly they say now tonic-clonic for everything. We used to call them petit mal where you didn't see a whole lot with a patient as far as the movement goes. And then when they had a grand mal seizure, that's the classic one that everybody thinks about seeing. Person drops, loses consciousness, starts thrashing around, no control over it, those types of things. So that's what people are used to seeing when we talk about seizure activity. And there really is, some people that seize every now and then, all the way to that person who's seizing almost continuous. And then you get it, that's the status epilepticus patient. But you can have people that seize a lot. Part of the discussion that we had when we were voting in this state about using THC to control seizures is because sometimes we had kids who were seizing 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 times a day. And what they found is that THC can actually decrease the amount of seizing that people have. So that's part of the reason why, with the medicinal marijuana kind of things, there are some good things about what's happening with that. Because it helps control that seizure activity when all the medications, other ones that we've given this patients have failed. But what you worry about when you have a person who's seizing, what kind of things are we worried about? As far as that? Safety is the big one, because the thing about it is if they're just standing upright and it comes all of a sudden and fall out, you worry about them hitting their head. They don't control their airway. We got to worry about whether or not they can suffocate or they can aspirate, because that's something we also have to worry about for them. And then we have to worry about, of course, what kind of oxygenation is going on, because that whole thing about the tongue can go back, can block off the airway. You wonder if that person is hypoxic, depending on how long they've been seizing, those types of things. So what do we do for the patient if they are seizing? If you come upon someone that all of a sudden is seizing, you want to put them on their side. You want, if they're upright, you move everything out of their way, because they have no concept of what's going on when they're seizing. Okay. What else do we do?
Document the time.
Try to protect their head. Document how long they've been in the seizures, because you're looking at how long is that activity lasting. Okay. You're looking at how long that tonic-clonic movement actually happened. You're also looking at what happens to them post-seizure or post-ictus. That's what we call it. What are they doing when that happens? Because sometimes you can have a person that they're like chewing, and sometimes they're chewing their tongue, that kind of thing. So you have to look and make sure, sometimes you'll see bleeding from the mouth, those types of things. Also, when you have a person that stops seizing, they actually may relax to the point where they do have the closing of their airway by the tongue. It's so relaxed, it goes back and blocks the airway. That's the only time you should really be trying to put anything in their mouth after the active seizing is over, but you notice that they're not breathing so great on their own, then you can put in an airway. And the one thing about it is if a person is alert, you won't get it in. Because nobody's letting you stick it down their throat if they're if they're with the program. Okay, but if they're kind of out of it, that kind of thing, you're worried about their airway, then you can put your airway in then. But you always wait until the active seizure is over. Trying to force something in your mouth can actually push the tongue back further, so you don't want to do that. But also can break their teeth. You think about what's going on. They can be clenching their teeth during their seizure, so that's not a great thing. What other things do we do after, or we document how long, but you also want to document, what they were doing. Were they having tonic-clonic movements? That's the person that's going to be flexing, contracting their extremities. Where they just, kind of flaccid. You will see people that do, she wasn't in for, I had somebody else who did the last time. But I actually had a nurse that worked at Tampa General. She still works there, but she was actually one of my students during the time I was teaching this course. And she actually worked on the neuro floor, so she brought in videos, because they video patients who are having seizures. And so there was a woman, she said, she showed some of the tonic-clonic stuff. She had somebody who was faking, because she had a person that they told don't hit that table, make sure you stay on this side, and the person move to the other side of the, so they wouldn't hit the table. You don't have cognition to hear somebody and follow commands if you're really having a seizure. So she showed some of that. But the weirdest thing she had was a lady who was laying in the bed, just laying there. I mean, just chilling. And because this is what was so bizarre. The lady got up. I mean, and you don't even, you know how you think about if I'm going to get out of bed, you see the person like sit up, sit on the side of the bed, and then get up. I mean, it was like one movement, and she was sitting on top of the bed like a cat on the headboard. And that was her seizure, because they actually had the EKG machine on, and you could see it on the EEG monitor. But she was on top of the bed like a cat. And I was like, what is this? Because you shouldn't be able to move that quick and stand on the top of the bed. But that's what I mean, you didn't even see any kind of movement in between. It was just like, it was all of a sudden, and she was there. And you could actually see on her monitor that she was seizing at the time. So that's how she started. And then probably about a minute into it, you could see the tremors in her arms. So then she laid in the bed and continued the seizure for another almost 4 minutes. So it was a long time that she was in this. Post-ictal, she was kind of out of it for almost 7 minutes. She was breathing on her own, that kind of thing, but talking to her and all, following commands, none of that. Sternal rub, nothing. And this went, so she was doing that 4 to 5 times a day. And her family was freaking out because they really thought something was wrong with her. I'm thinking, yeah, I think something else was in there, not just something seasoned kind of thing, because of the movement she had. I was like, that girl scared me. But that's what she did. She got way up on top of it like it was nothing. So just know a lot of different behaviors that your patients can have. How we diagnose it, of course, is looking at it. We do a EEG to see if we can find the focal area of where the patient is actually seizing. The nice part about the brain is that it has all these different neurons and pathways, and that even if we have a person who seizes and has a lot of seizures, the body sometimes rewires things to other places so that your cognitive ability or things that you can do are still intact. One of the things that they do sometimes when you have a person who's on status epilepticus, I can't stop you from seizing, that kind of thing, they can actually go in and do this type of mapping procedure to see where different things are. They show you pictures while they're doing all this stuff, and they can actually try to get rid of those parts of the brain that are firing all the time. But that's only reserved for those patients who are really, really sick, or that they can't really control their seizures with medications. Because by far the thing you're going to see most often is the use of anticonvulsant drugs. Okay, so some of the ones that you see are, which drugs you give for those?
Phentoin, Dilantin.
I can't even remember how to spell it. I should just put it out later.
T-O-I.
Carbamazepine.
Carbamazepine.
What other things?
Keppra.
Keppra.
Levetiracetamide.
All right. Those are things you're going to see. Now we're writing them all over with the names and kind of thing. One of the things try to get you, because that's what I think about all the time, but I can never remember. I remember all the cardiac stuff because I did it all the time. But one of the things as you go forward for your NCLEX licensure exam, everything went generic. So they're always going to use generic names for everything. So just get used to, that's part of the reason when you're doing a clinical, write down both so you can kind of learn those. And then you'll start seeing the things that go together all the time. Mostly you're going to see these when you talk about patients on taking tests for it. Keppra has been out for a while, but you'll also see that one. Some of the old ones that are out there are Phenobarb, Valium, that we use for seizures. A lot of times you see those when people are actively seizing and can't get you stopped. Because these are going to take a while to get a blood level in order for you to stop seizing. So if I got a person that's seizing right now, that's where you're going to see the Valium, Ativan, those types of things used for patients. The other thing about seizures, we use the EEG to look at where it's located, that kind of thing, but we also do some of the other X-rays and CTs. So CT scan with and without contrast. MRI because you're trying to figure out if there's an organic reason why this person is seizing. Because that's associated with tumors, that kind of thing, something that's going on with patients. So those would be some of the things you do as far as diagnostic tests. Once they go on their meds, know that active seizing patient, like I said, is Ativan or Valium, but these are things that they're going to go on for long-term management. Real old one, Phenobarb, sometimes you'll see patients on as well. So those are things that if you, once the patient starts taking medication, there's a drug level with it that is considered therapeutic. Patient may continue to seize until they get to that therapeutic dose. What generally happens is you're going to give a patient a loading dose of medication, then start them on their routine medication doses, and then you're going to recheck their levels. So you're going to see if whatever they're taking is enough to actually get them to therapeutic so they're not seizing anymore. Bad part for people who start having seizures, you never had them before, is that you have to wait a year if you're a driver. You have to be at least a year without having a seizure to get your license back. While you're seizing, you cannot drive. And there are things that can actually trigger your seizures for some people. They have aura before they have them for some people. And some of those are flashing lights. So driving right now, at the time change, you behind a school bus, that flashing, strobing light can actually cause somebody to start having a seizure. So legally, you can't drive until you've been at least seizure-free for at least a year. So that will always have to be evaluated to make sure this person is not, because the issue is safety. If you start having a seizure, you kill yourself or somebody else. You know, so if that, if you make it, then you got to think about who you killed on top of that for doing that. So that's something that's unfortunate, but it's one of the things you do for not only the patient safety, but it's general safety that kind of goes along with that. So for setting it, just look at your epilepsy patient.
Do they know when it comes? Like,
You have some patients that do. Some people will get, they get a feeling, they get a sensation. Some people get, they see visual things. There are some people who actually have seizures who have service animals, and the dog or cat or whoever it is knows when they're going to seize. They'll actually, they notice that they're changing. They'll go put their head or something on them, and they know to go sit someplace so that you're not standing, falling, kind of thing. But there are some service animals that can pick it up when people actually see it.
I'm asking if I'm a girl who have a nurse. She will have it since twice a week, sometimes more than that. And she knows when it comes.
Yeah.
And sometimes she will go, you'll be looking for her and can't find her. And she'll find an empty bed and lay down. And when you go, you see her.
Now see, that would make me nervous.
And she,
Taking medication, right?